How good is Arishem? Well, let me tell you, I got some stats that you're going to want to see, and I think you're going to like them. They're kind of interesting. Stick around to watch them all. Arishem, at the start of the game, +1 max energy, shuffle 12 random cards into your deck. It's a 7 cost, 7 power card. That means that you have to have that extra energy to be able to play it out, but you get it for the entire game. That means that this card is going to be pretty correct. I think the community sentiment around this card is looking pretty hype. A lot of people are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try it out. I historically don't like the location like District X because it does give you all those random cards. But with Arishem having such a strong start of game ability, allowing you to really get early value from it just from the first turn, I think it's going to be a very interesting card at the very least, and potentially strong card as well. That start of a game, you're getting +1 max energy. There's so much you can do with that, and I'm ready for it. It's kind of comparable to a few other cards in the game like Corvus Glaive, Electro, even kind of Hope a little bit. But those cards you have to play out on turn 3. You're not starting with it early. So this really opens the door for a lot of possibilities of a lot of cards you can play earlier in the game. So let's talk about what cards can we include in this deck. A lot of people are thinking, oh, I got 1x extra max energy. Let's go ahead and put Sunspot and She-Hulk into the deck. Well, I don't think that's going to be the best use of your energy, really, because Sunspot's just like you're getting +1. So maybe if you get it out early, you're going to be able to get maximize if you're not actually drawing the right cards you need, and then you're going to be skipping a lot of turns. So there is potential there, but a lot of times I think the Sunspot isn't going to be drawn early enough to really get any value because you're only drawing a small part of your deck. You actually only draw about 4 out of your 11 selected cards during the game. So Sunspot not going to be a lot of these other cards are going to run into the same problem where like if you don't draw it early, it might not be the best card for Arishem. That includes cards like Okoye or Fastos that people are thinking, oh, I could get this out earlier and I could get a lot of value. But to get it out early, you have to draw it. You're not going to draw it. You only see about 37.5% of your deck at all, a little over a third. So probably not worth it. But there are some cards that are going to be definitely worth it. Like Mockingbird is a card. Like since you're playing out a lot of cards that don't start in your deck, Mockingbird's going to be discounted almost every game, so you can play that out for cheaper, which is pretty good. And then a card like Loki, I know a lot of people are not super keen on Loki, but since you could draw a bunch of bad cards you don't want to be playing out, if you end up drawing Loki, then you could get a mulligan basically to have a whole new hand now, and it's discounted and you already have +1 max energy, so you're going to be playing out a ton. There is like some consideration for a card like Blob. It's just a big card. You can play it out a turn early, and you're almost guaranteed to get the full 15 power no matter what you put in your deck, just because you have so many cards in your deck that will be able to fill up that blob. There are some other cards that have consideration because your deck is so large, like a M'Baku, I guess, because the chances of you drawing it are much lower than in any other deck. But I still think that might be cope because just having a 1/2 on your board, not really going to do that much. Quinjet is a consideration just because you have a bunch of randomly generated stuff. So it'll be discounting it, but it runs the same problem as like Sunspot and Okoye and Fastos in that it really gets the value when you play it out early, so you have to draw it, so it's kind of hard to get the value from those cards. So I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend that, but some cards that generate cards might actually be one of the best ways to get the best value because you're giving yourself more options of cards to play out with that max energy. So something like Snowguard, Agent Coulson, or Valentina, or Nick Fury, a lot of those will be generating a lot of cards that allow you to get that value. Things that can go ahead and steal cubes from your opponent based on what's there in your deck. So if you draw a tech card, so if you include a bunch of tech cards, then maybe that might be the best value because you'll get a bunch of random cards to play out power, and then you just include tech cards in your deck. That means you can fit in a lot of tech cards. You can fit in like Shang, Shadow King, Red Guardian. You can even throw in some cheeky stuff like Darkhawk and Leech. So if you can Darkhawk them a turn early, you still have the Shang maybe to be able to kill them if they pull anything big out of their hand. I think that'd be pretty good. I think something that you should avoid maybe is like thinking like you want to put like Adam Warlock to draw more of your cards. Adam Warlock is just a bad card. Don't do it. Some people are thinking like maybe Sarah could be good to put it down a turn early, discount your cards. I think that Sarah actually could be good. I wouldn't put it past you to put it in the deck because you really, if you draw it and you play it out, it's going to be value most of the time, and playing it a turn early is pretty good. You can also play a card like Wave, which is kind of interesting because if you end up drawing that by turn 2, you can actually wave and get the value of Wave, but your opponent can't because they are 1 energy short. So I think that would be kind of interesting. The only problem with that is you still have to draw right turn 2 to have that kind of benefit, which is not going to happen that often with the card or with the way that the deck is. But with Wave, there is a card that could be kind of interesting, and that's Agatha. I think Agatha being able to guaranteedly play itself out on turn 5 is kind of interesting. Plus, you get the extra card draw, which means there's going to be more stuff played. And since you're playing random cards anyway, why not just go full random and let them play it all out on the board? So I think Agatha is actually a consideration for Arishem. I don't think Agatha is going to be the best Arishem deck, but you know, it could be the best Agatha deck to include Arishem. And then everyone's favorite, Galactus, the ass man himself, he can come out a turn early. So you never discount Galactus a turn early. The only problem with that is you can't really include a lot of the cards that are good with Galactus after that, because you're not really going to draw them that often. Like if you want to include like a Death, a Null, or even an Eliath. I think Eliath could be playable in an Arishem deck. I'm not going to lie. I think it'd be good. I think you could just throw in a lot of good cards, though. I think that would be good, like Dr. Doom, Vision, Miss Marvel. And then you could also go the direction of Lockdown. Could be really interesting. Having Storm or Professor X played out early, I think that would be really interesting with Arishem, since you get that extra energy, so you're going to be able to play out bigger cards into the lockdown locations, and your opponents might not be able to output that same power. You can even include cards like Nocturne and Jeff in your deck, maybe, because since Professor X and Storm nowadays, you can move those cards into both of them. So kind of good cards, even if you want to include Dr. Doom for the Storm or in the Vision, Miss Marvel, you know, those are all good as well. How do you counter Arishem? I don't think there actually is that good of a counter to Arishem. I'm not gonna lie. The only thing really is like Darkhawk, since your deck is so big, and Darkhawk would be so huge against that. Like there's not really any other way to really like stop them from doing what they're doing. You can maybe play like a Mobius if they wanted to play out the early discount stuff like Quinjet or Sarah, but that's not necessarily going to be the Arishem's best way, since it just gets that max extra energy. But yeah, I think a lot of Arishem's power comes from playing those early cards, not big cards, but I guess like mid-sized cards earlier. So you can drop a lot of stuff in the early game that your opponent couldn't. You get a lot of value on turns like 1, 2, and 3 over your opponent, because you literally have double their energy on turn 1, and you have like 50% more energy turn 2. It's pretty good overall. I think just being able to play out like a 2-drop turn 1, a 3-drop turn 2, it's going to be pretty powerful in that sense. Hopefully you can draw correctly. It's going to be crazy. Like District X, my least favorite location, you almost always are drawing terrible cards. I feel like nothing you really want to play out. Sometimes you get lucky. I'm hoping Arishem will be fun and actually good, but it'll be at least fun. Just having that +1 max energy just opens the door for so many cool possibilities. I'm excited to try it out, and we'll have to see where it goes. And shout out to Willow, who made that really cool thread about Arishem, where I got a lot of the ideas about the cards and everything, and wanted to review it all with you guys. So shout out to Willow. But yeah, go ahead and tell me what you guys think about the card in the comments, and maybe I'll reply to some of you, you know, if you're lucky. I'm also going to be trying this card out on Tuesday. Come stop by my stream to check it out. And you can also come and see the video that I put out based on the gameplay, give my final review of it. My pre-review, I'm going to go a little bit heavy here. I'm going to say it's a 4 out of 5 pre-review, because I think it'll be fun. The +1 max energy gives it so much stuff, and maybe just random cards are good to play out. And why not go full random with something like that Agatha, or maybe more card generation to get it played out, or Loki, you know, to just go steal your opponent's deck anyway with just the extra cards. But yeah, that's my Arishem review. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Come back for the actual Arishem video. See ya.